You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
The XL Energy postgame show starts now, including my comments. But first, from the Bob Kurtz Radio Center, here's Kevin Fones.
Mark with 5 seconds left, carries in, fired one of the back posts. That goes wide, and the horn sounds. The Minnesota Wild dropped here at home as the Oilers have won 4 in a row. They beat the Wild here tonight 7-1 as Minnesota opens up the homestand with a bit of a thud.
A bit of a thud is definitely one way to put it. Wild lose 7-1 tonight in St. Paul. Yeah, that's a tough way to start the homestand. Even worse than that, the Wild are down another body on the injury list. Back upstairs to the Al Shaver press box, that's Tom Reed. Downstairs in the Bob Kurtz Radio Center, I'm Kevin Fallness. And Tom, I mean, it's one thing to lose a hockey game, but especially the way they started. You knew it was going to be tough without Jules Eriksson, without Jonas Brodin, those guys in particular, when you're trying to limit two guys like McDavid and Draisaitl. Then you lose one of your top pair defensemen, and it just got from bad to worse from that point forward.
Yeah, it certainly did, Kevin, no doubt about it. And they just didn't seem to have that jump we normally see, but all of a sudden when you lose a player of that caliber, especially back in the blue line, it really hurts your squad because everything has to be changed around. You're wondering who's on the right side, who's on the left side. You're back and forth, and they try to make it work, but when 37 seconds into the first period, they lost him, and boy, that disrupts it for the rest of the game.
No doubt about it, and like we said, that's a tough way to start the homestand, but life will go on. It'll be interesting to see what changes are made going into this weekend, and if Jonas Brodin comes back, if potentially Matt Zuccarello as well. Plenty of questions to be answered. Maybe some of them will be addressed by John Hines in his post-game comments coming up. Can't imagine you're going to pick a Wild player for Tom Reed's catalyst of the game, so who you got?
I have to go with the Leon Draisaitl, no question about it. What a game he had. He's a big, strong body. 4 points on the night with a goal and 3 assists. He was a +2 on. He played over 18 minutes in this hockey game and had the most shots of anybody in that Edmonton. He had 5 shots out of 6 attempts, but he handled things well. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he won almost 60% of the draws also. So he's a force to be reckoned with. And I said that to Joe, who's better, McDavid or Draisaitl? And boy, you really have to go back and forth. I know McDavid gets all the accolades because of his skating ability, but Draisaitl is a guy right up there with him.
That's what I was going to say. Draisaitl can't be that far behind McDavid. I know McDavid is, without a doubt, the number one guy on the planet, but hot on his heels, Draisaitl's got to be right there with him, Tom.
Well, he is, and he plays such a solid game too. And I was watching the one that where Trenyon hit him, and he didn't even move. He didn't. I mean, he just stayed upright and kept on going. And he's a force you have to reckon with, and you really have to know how to play against him. It isn't so much about trying to knock him down; just take him off the play.
Second time this season the Wild have given up a touchdown. The first time it happened in Philadelphia back in October. Guess who's coming here on Saturday, Tom?
Yep, I know who's coming, believe me.
The Philadelphia Flyers. Well, what do you expect in that one in the rematch? The Wild got the better of that, or they fell in Philly, one of the stinkers on the early part of the season. What do you expect in the rematch?
Well, I would think that Philadelphia is looking at the Minnesota squad right now. It depends who's going to be playing for Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Is anybody going to be back from the injury list or not? Or are they going to be suffering with what they did tonight after that injury to Middleton? But I'm sure they'll come in here where they remember what they did out there, and they'll try and do the same thing and get the victory out of here. But Minnesota has to counter that.
Thank you, Tom. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you Saturday afternoon.
Right, thanks, Kevin.
Tom Reed from the Al Shaver press box following a 7-1 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. Leon Draisaitl on fire once again. A big night for him. Now 30 points in 25 games, a lifetime against the Minnesota Wild. Tonight he had a big night as well and is rewarded with Tom Reed's Catalyst of the Game. Presented by Catalyst Supply Co. Building materials and install support. Boost your build. Before we wrap things up, we'll try to get you some reaction inside that Wild locker room. Maybe we can get an update on Jake Middleton, who left the game with an upper body injury. Just 30-some seconds into this hockey game. Maybe John Hines can give us some more clarity on his situation when he addresses the media. You'll hear this on this exact radio dial. More from the postgame show coming your way next. This is Wild Hockey presented by XL Energy. Wild Wild lose 7-1, and I know it was all about Leon Draisaitl. Connor McDavid had a pretty good night as well. But for our Toyota shift of the game, coming out of that first period, the Wild had life when Freddie Gaudreau ends up getting credit for the Wild's only goal in this contest. Late in the first, on the power play, tips home the Brock Faber shot from the point. Wild in business, despite the fact it didn't feel like it after one. Go to the second, though, and there's really no doubt about it. When they score the shorty minutes into the second period, despite the Wild being on the power play, yeah, this, my friends, was it for the Edmonton Oilers. It is the Toyota shift of the game.
Comes free for the Oilers, and they'll pry it ahead as Connor Brown floats it off. Emberson rushes up, a tip pass. Brown, a shot, he scores. A short-handed goal from Connor Brown, and it's 3-1 Edmonton.
Yeah, that pretty much sealed the deal. It put the Oilers back in front by 2. Brown with his 4th of the season. It comes shorthanded. 1:55 into the second. Picks his spot over the glove of Gustafsson into the top right corner. Puts him up 3-1. That's the first of 3 second period goals. They had 2 more in the third. In the end, the Wild lose 7-1 and see their 3-game home win streak come to an end. Connor Brown, enjoy. You got the Toyota shift of the game, presented by Toyota, official vehicle of the Minnesota Wild. More from St. Paul next. This is Wild Hockey, presented by XL Energy.
Gaudreau off the right wing boards. Down to the goal line for Johansson. Again, coming off that 3-point game. He'll find Faber at the blue line. Faber shot and he scores! With the power play winding down, Brock Faber let one fly. Traffic in front, and the Wild get a big-time goal late in the first. They trail the Oilers 2-1.
A little bit of hope at that point in time. Originally, it was credited to Brock Faber. Instead, it goes to Freddie Gaudreau. Gets his 6th of the year. Comes on the power play. 1:11 left to go in period number 1. Wild in business, but as we mentioned, it goes from bad to worse from that point forward. At that point, it's 2-1. They end up losing 7-1. So the math tells me the next 5 go to the Oilers. Wild go down in a heap in front of 18,394. Let's squeeze in a ID. Let's pause 10 seconds for station ID. I know it's late, but let's do it. 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Wild Hockey, presented by XL Energy. Perfect timing. The head coach of the Minnesota Wild, John Hines, addressing the media. Let's join him in progress.
And you lose Middleton 37 seconds in. I mean, I know you don't want to make excuses, but how much does that just wreak havoc with plans coming in and the way you guys played?
Yeah, I think it's obviously with those guys being out and then Midzi going down the first 37 seconds, it changes the dynamic. Obviously, with 5, you're basically playing 5D for the whole game. But we didn't. It wasn't a good night for us, whether it was with Midzi's injury or how we played or whatever it might be. So that's what it was.
Do you have an update on Middleton?
I don't.
What do you think? I mean, you guys landed at 3 a.m. yesterday, so it was already probably energy was going to be a little difficult. But why do you think the entire game sort of went haywire, where guys were just left in front and legs were sluggish, all that?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of that. I think that, you're going to go through it, and I'm not really going to dissect the game other than it was uncharacteristic of us tonight. I think that when whatever the reasons are, they are. But I think it's important that we got to get our energy back, and we got to have a good day tomorrow, and we got to be ready for the weekend. I think that's something that needs to be and will be what our focus is, not so much what happened tonight. I think we've had a lot of good things that have gone on for us this year. Tonight was an uncharacteristic night for us. I'm not going to overthink it. Tonight is what it is. We got to get ready for Saturday.
Yeah, and is it easier to flush it when you know that none of this has ever happened this season?
Yeah, I mean that's the important of really, that's the important. The important thing of having a good team game and doing what we've done is that. Listen, over the course of 82 games, you're going to have a few of these, right? Now it's all about what can we do to make sure we get it better. We know what happened tonight. I got no issues with it. It happened. Now we got to make sure that we fix it. We get re-energized and we get ready for the weekend. That's, to me, that's what the focus is.
It felt like they were almost suffocating. They would take any bit of momentum you guys would garner and take that away from you. Was that kind of difficult to gain the momentum to really push back like you guys have done?
Yeah, we didn't have enough push, and whether it was what they did or whether it was what we did, there was just a lot of uncharacteristic things in tonight's game that went on, and so on to Philly.
What you're seeing with the PK, what you told us this morning, did you see those same kind of breakdowns and issues tonight?
I mean, the face-off play early in the thing, it was kind of a busted play. Like, we were in coverage there, and then they made a nice play on that one. You know, the second one was later when it went on. So, to be honest, even with the PK, I just thinking like we gave up the shorty. You know, there was just a lot of things that weren't on it, whether it was penalty kill or 5-on-5 or the power play, whatever it might be. We didn't, mentally and physically, we weren't able to accomplish what we want to accomplish tonight. And so none of it looked great.
Can I ask you, I mean, with Rhodes, like, do you have to still be careful with him, or, is there a chance we even see him Saturday? I mean, obviously you're going to need a D here.
Yeah, it's difficult in those situations, right? Because you obviously are banged up, so you see guys coming back, and you want to be able to say, well, we want to do it. But the real thing is you have to do what's right for the player. You have to do what's right for the team. Is he really ready to play? I don't have that answer tonight. I'll probably know more tomorrow. Same thing with Zuki. I don't know. Obviously, it's exciting when you see them being ready to come back, but ultimately, there is a medical procedure they have to go through to make sure that they're ready to play, and not, force them in there because, you're banged up and you feel like you have needs. You have to have a level head. You have to make sure that if they're ready to go, then they're going to be ready to go. But if they're not, we have to make the right decision.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
All right, see you guys.
The head coach of the Minnesota Wild, John Hines, addressing the media following a 7-1 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. Uncharacteristic of us, says the head coach. Not going to overthink it, and over the course of an 82-game season, games like this will happen. Hopefully it's a short-lived experience because that was unpleasant. As great as the first 28 games were, this one was Stinksville population U. Hopefully they can move forward because they have to. You got 2 big games coming up this weekend on back-to-back occasions, with the Flyers coming in here on Saturday, the Golden Knights on Sunday, and then, of course, the rest of the homestand as well. And it's not going to get any easier as those go along, too. The defending Cup champs are in here for Game 4 of the 5-game homestand, and then it's a rematch with the Utah Hockey Club, and you know the problems the Wild had with them just a couple of nights ago. So hopefully they can put a Band-Aid on this thing and move forward real quick. Hopefully they get some clarity on what they're going to do on the blue line. And who knows, maybe even you get one of your top defensemen back in the lineup and one of your top 6 forwards and one Mats Zuccarello. All that could come to play over the course of the next 48 hours. I guess time will tell. We'll take a break and then we'll have more from St. Paul next. This is Wild Hockey presented by XL Energy.
I think just, they had legs, they were on pucks, and, we just seemed to be a little hesitant at first and just kind of crept into our game all night. You just get rid of it. I mean, it's don't ever just throw away a game. But, we got a chance just to, review some things and get served a little bit of humble pie and then move forward.
The voice of Marcus Foligno, the Moose inside that Wild locker room following a 7-1 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. Humble pie, I think, is a great way to put it. After putting up some gaudy numbers in the first third of the season, tonight a little reality check with Pat Kessler. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I said that. But regardless, the Wild do take a step back tonight. And maybe it's just one of those things where you just crumple it up in the ball, throw it in the trash bin, and you move forward. Hopefully it's as easy as that. The Wild suffer the loss and stay with the now at a 19-6-4 record, those 42 points. Now one back of the Winnipeg Jets. They lost tonight in overtime. So even though they lost, they do get a point for their efforts. Still, the Wild have played 2 less games than them. The Washington Capitals also won tonight. They've won 3 in a row. They've got 42 points. So they, too, are right up there with the Minnesota Wild for one of the top records and the top points in the National Hockey League. The Wild suffered the loss on home ice. They had won 3 in a row at XL Energy Center. Now they fall to 7-4-1 here at XL, and they also have won 6 of their last 8 overall. 0-1-0 to start the 5-game homestand against the Oilers, 1-1 on the season series, and suffer their first loss to the Oilers at XL Energy Center since February 7th, 2019. Wild had won 6 in a row. Philip Gustafsson, he too has had gaudy numbers all season long. He'll take this one on the chin. 21 saves for him. He's pulled after 2 periods. He suffers the loss and falls to 14-5-3. Had won 5 consecutive starts. Still 8-3-2 in his last 13 goes. First pull of the season. Falls to 2-1 all time against the Edmonton Oilers. That's your game recap. We'll get you ready for the Flyers next. This is Wild Hockey presented by XL Energy.
Never want to have games like this, but they're just instances, obviously, where plays to be made that we have been making in the past, or just little things that we weren't doing right tonight and seem to be just one after the other. So come back to work tomorrow, and then we got 2 big ones on the weekend.
The voice of Jared Spurgeon sounds a lot like John Hines, at least the words coming out of his face. You heard John Hines addressing the media, and those were a lot of the talking points that he had. Uncharacteristic of us, not going to overthink it, and over the course of an 82-game season, things like this will happen. Hopefully that's all it boils down to, and the Wild can put this in the trash bag and forget about it and move forward, because they have to. Busy weekend coming up with back-to-back games against the Flyers and the Golden Knights. It starts on Saturday afternoon with a rematch with the Flyers. The Wild were in Philly back on October 26th, and they fell by a 7-5 final. Sean Couturier with the hat trick and 5 points as Philly rallied with 4 third-period goals. Wild ended up losing that one, and probably before tonight was probably one of their worst hockey games of the season. This Flyers team has won 2 straight, including a 4-1 win over the Wings tonight. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10 since Thanksgiving. So another big battle coming your way. Wild and Flyers, a matinee. Pregame at 12:45 Saturday afternoon. Puck drops just after 1 o'clock on most of these same stations. Special thanks to Tim Parachka, Zach Halverson, Aaron Sickman, Jackson Riebel, and Dylan Daniel. And for Joe O'Donnell and Tom Reed, I'm Kevin Fallness. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you Saturday afternoon from St. Paul on the Minnesota Wild Radio Network.
You've been listening to the Minnesota Wild Hockey.
Robbed by Fleury!
Join us next time right here for more Wild Hockey action.
They gave it in a look. Diving poke check by Fleury! And the rebound chance Skinner just wide.
Wild Hockey is an exclusive presentation of the Minnesota Wild, the National Hockey League, and the Minnesota Wild Radio Network.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.